Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the operating manual for human behavior. We're going to go deep, right into the hidden architecture of our daily lives by breaking down the framework of Atomic Habits by James Clear. But first, let's start with a mystery that I think haunts all of us, like a ghost in our own personal machine. Why is it that we so often fail to achieve the very goals we set for ourselves with so much conviction? It's a universal pattern, and it's incredibly frustrating. You know the feeling. We buy the books, we stack them up by the bed, promising ourselves, this is it, I'm going to expand my mind. And yet, they just sit there collecting dust. They become these little monuments to intentions that just never became actions. Or how about the gym membership? We sign up, we're all in, totally committed to finally getting in shape. And maybe we go a few times, a few weeks even, but pretty soon the visits get farther and farther apart until, poof, they stop altogether. And that key card ends up forgotten in some drawer. And then there's the big project, that business idea, that creative venture. You start with this incredible surge of motivation, right? You get the first few steps done, but then the momentum just fizzles out. And it's left there half-finished, another relic in what feels like a graveyard of good intentions. So what's going on here? Well, James Clear's central premise gives us a really stark diagnosis for this universal struggle. And it's this. The problem isn't you. It's not your ambition or your motivation that's lacking. No. The problem is this system you're operating within. Our outcomes are really just a lagging measure of our habits. And our habits, they're governed by this invisible architecture. So if we want to understand how to succeed, we have to become engineers of our own behavior. We have to investigate this hidden architecture, this ghost in the machine that's dictating our actions, often without us even realizing it. Now, Clear argues that remarkable results, they're not built from massive, earth-shattering changes in behavior. Not at all. They're the product of tiny, almost imperceptible changes that just compound over time. These are atomic habits. They're the fundamental building blocks. Think about it. They're small, like an atom, but they're also the source of immense power. All right, let's get into the mechanics. The first law of behavior change targets the very beginning of the habit loop, the cue. This is the trigger, the spark that initiates a behavior. It's the first whisper from that ghost in the machine, and the entire process starts right here. And the logic is brutally simple. To build a good habit, you have to make its trigger impossible to ignore. To break a bad one, you have to make its trigger disappear from your reality. We are all products of our environment, and this gives us the power to become its architect. So we can engineer this obviousness in a few ways. There's habit stacking, where you just link a new habit you want to one you already do automatically. Or you can get really specific with an implementation intention, pre-deciding the exact time and place you're going to act. But maybe the most powerful tool is simply designing your environment. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Want to drink more water? Put a water bottle right on your desk. Make the right choice the most obvious one. Okay, on to the next lever we can pull. This one gets at the real engine of every habit, the craving. See, habits are basically a dopamine-driven feedback loop. And what's wild is our brain releases that dopamine not just when we experience pleasure, but when we anticipate it. This law is all about manufacturing that anticipation to motivate the ghost in the machine. I mean, it makes sense, right? The more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit-forming. Just think about the perfectly engineered allure of junk food or social media. We can reverse engineer this principle for our own good. And on the flip side, to kill a bad habit, we have to strip it of its glamour and reframe it as something unappealing. A powerful way to do this is something called temptation bundling, which links an action you need to do with one you genuinely want to do. Like, you only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising. Even more powerful, though, is to join a culture where your desired habit is just the social norm. We are wired to imitate others. If everyone in your circle runs marathons, you're a lot more likely to start running. The third law confronts a fundamental truth about our biology. We are wired to be lazy. And look, this isn't a moral failing, it's a feature designed to conserve energy. This law addresses the response, the actual habit itself, by focusing on the path of least resistance, because that's the path the ghost in the machine will always prefer. Human behavior always follows the law of least effort. We naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. So to build good habits, we have to decrease the friction associated with them. And to break bad habits, we do the opposite. We add as much friction as possible. To make a good habit feel inevitable, you lay out your workout clothes the night before. You prepare your healthy lunch in advance. But the real masterstroke here is the 2-minute rule. Downscale any new habit so that it can be started in less than 2 minutes. Read every day becomes read 1 page. Do yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. The goal isn't perfection. It's mastering the art of simply showing up. And that brings us to the final crucial piece of the habit loop, the reward. This is what tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do that again. The problem is our brains evolved in an immediate return environment, but now we live in a delayed return world. This law is all about training that ghost in the machine. Here it is, the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded gets repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The reward for a good habit, like getting in shape, is often way off in the future. The reward for a bad habit, like eating a donut, is immediate. This law is about closing that gap. So to lock in a good behavior, you need to feel immediately successful, even in a small way. This could be as simple as moving a paperclip from one jar to another after completing a task, or marking a big X on a calendar. That visual proof of progress is its own satisfying reward. And if you slip up, the rule is simple. Never miss twice. 1 mistake is an accident. 2 is the start of a new, undesirable habit. So that's the blueprint, but theory is useless without action. Let's distill this entire system down into 3 concrete decisions you can make right now. First, pick one habit you want to build and shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Second, use habit stacking to anchor that new, tiny habit to an existing part of your daily routine. And third, redesign one small part of your environment to make the cue for that habit completely unmissable. Don't try to change everything at once. Start with one single atomic change. Because ultimately, the real power of this system isn't just about getting more done or losing weight or writing a book. It's about identity. The goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The goal isn't to run a marathon. It's to become a runner. Each tiny habit is not just an action, it's a vote. It's a small piece of evidence that casts a ballot for the type of person you are becoming. And that is a system for change that truly lasts.